Ah, okay. I'm trying to go. Welcome, everyone. Give me 1 second to hit the go live on Instagram. Here we are. We are on Instagram live as well as YouTube live. So I have been upgrading my upgrading my technology so that we can do both at the same time. I'm so honored to have Caitlin Muelder here. You're my first cosmic conversation with this new setup. So excited to have you. I love your work and love seeing your posts on Instagram. So why don't you introduce yourself to anyone who's new to you?
Hi, Celeste. It's an honor to be here, especially so with the technology. It's so funny because when I've done lives in the past with my friend Shannon, we joke that I'm like the movie Powder, that I make technology kind of go wonky. I'm such a fan of yours. I fangirled you messages and inbox for a long time before we finally got to connect. I'm an astrologer. My background, I started in theater, classical theater, and my family's all academic, very skeptical of astrology. And then I had a career as an actor and did some directing, and now I transitioned to writing. So that's the other hat I wear. My journey with astrology is probably like so many people out there. I was that kid in the Barnes and Noble or the Borders, looking through the books and looking at the tarot and just being mesmerized and transported and feeling validated that there were others who felt like there was an underlining structure or process to the universe and that we weren't separate from the cosmos. And so I was just a self-taught person for a long time. And then Heidi Rose Robbins, who's my dear friend and mentor, when I was ready to kind of go pro, because I had done readings from my friends, but I think I felt a little insecure because I didn't have formal training. You know, I have such admiration for Kepler College and people who are really getting certified in things. It is an art and a science that has, alas, been much maligned and has validity. And if it was good enough for Copernicus, I'm just saying.
I love that. Well,
you know,
Heidi Rose Robinson is amazing. She has the Star Codes deck.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
yes,
love her work.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
tell us your big three.
Okay, I am like Robin Williams and Helen Keller and Blondie. I'm a Cancer sun, I am a Pisces moon, and I'm Scorpio rising. Um, that's
Oh, all that water. You must be an amazing actress. Is drama your favorite?
actually comedy, and I blame and thank my Mars and Leo at the top of my chart for that. I feel like the square between that Mars right approaching my midheaven and my Scorpio rising is the creative friction of the amnivert.
I love that. And so, how has this Mercury retrograde been for you? Because it's been in Leo and it started with a sextile to Venus. Did that help you writing, or what would you say about it?
Yeah, I actually found it to be I don't know why this song is jumping in my head, but you know, we both like humor. I'm hearing the Nickelback, this is how you remind me of what I really am. Like it was a review. It was a review of what's my authentic self, what's my authentic voice, confronting maybe old insecurities about putting myself out there. And then also it felt very reflective of like, oh, how far I've come with previous insecurities, but also how far I still have to go. You know, but also very good for sparking actually rewrites. I'm in the middle of working on a script with two Leos, which is amazing, and it felt very productive in that sense of like, oh, I can actually go back and I can make it be more of its essential self.
I love that. Yeah, this Mercury retrograde in Leo has been, I think, for so many people, bringing up themes of how do you shine your light? How do you hold yourself back? How your insecurities came
Yeah.
up a lot with the full moon in Aquarius opposite the sun in Leo. Like how
Yeah.
you communicate with your audience and the feedback you get from the audience, and this tug of
Yeah.
war. And
Yeah.
it's so
And
interesting. One of the
yeah.
things, before we jump into chart patterns, one of the things that's so interesting happening right now, now that Mercury's direct, but Mars was moving faster. And yesterday, Mars and Mercury, so Mars and Libra, excuse me, Mars and Libra applied to sextile Mercury and Leo, and then move past it. And now Mercury is gaining speed. And on Sunday, Mercury will sextile Mars.
Yes. I'm looking forward to that passing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And you're so right. I think for so many of us, I don't know if it brought it up for you, you know, having a Taurus sun and having it aspected in that way. But I think also because there's this opposition with Pluto and Aquarius, this sense of how much agency, how much does my individual contribution, how can I as one person help the collective? Because we are in a time of collective upheaval. And so significance, insignificance, and finding the resolve to keep going.
Absolutely, because with so many planets at early degrees of signs, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus specifically, our structures are dissolving with the Saturn-Uranus conjunction.
Yes.
I keep misspeaking with Mercury is direct. Saturn, Neptune, and Aries conjunction. Structures are dissolving. I'm so sorry, Caitlin. I don't know what's going on. Okay.
It is we were talking before we went live about how the shadow zone of this particular Mercury retrograde, I have foot and mouth, I've inverted, I've been having typos. It has just been, my ability to articulate has been playful. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, so everybody, please excuse me, please correct me if I say something wrong. And Uranus is in early degrees of Gemini. This is like a comedy of errors. It's like that Abbott and Costello, who's on first routine, where it's like,
yeah,
and what, and da, 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 and they get so much confusion talking about a sports game. This is the energy this weekend, where the president of the United States is speaking with the president of Russia about the war in Ukraine, and Ukraine's not invited. I mean, this is just absurd. Christopher is here from Kiev, so he said he's going to try to join. But imagine a Leo rising and Mars trying to deal with this energy, who's a marble mouth to begin with, and trying to articulate. It's like it's in the energy.
And I love when you mentioned earlier the difference of something, the quality of when it's applying and when it is moving past, and the context of thinking about Saturn, thinking about it being at the base of the kite that we had on August 8th, and the revisit we're going to have of this energy in the spring. You know, it's sort of the appetizer. the plate's going to go away during the retrograde, and then we're gonna have a big meal of the energy and the things that are going on now.
Yes, yeah. And what's one of the biggest things you've noticed about this energy we've been in the early degrees of the sign? And you're in LA, so you're in the thick of a lot of this Saturn in Aries, Saturn, the sign of its fall. It's like when the authority goes to extremes to try to maintain control.
Yeah. It's been deeply worrying and heartbreaking in instances, and on an existential level, which also feels like the opposition to the that air. There's an abstraction, sort of an existential crisis, it feels like, in addition to the literal physical injustices. But it has been the you know, I always feel like with a detriment, whenever things are, you know, in exaltation, it's very matchy, and when it's in detriment, it's unmatching. And that there's one of my favorite things about astrology is the yin yangness of everything that happens. And so, just as there has been this like direct aggression and patriarchal, hierarchical, authoritarian quality, there has been a resolve of a new fight back. The number of people who have gone to marches, the number of people I see speaking up for the first time in that kind of initiating Aries way, people being finally willing to fight for something, you know. Every time Saturn has been in Aries, in certainly in our lifetime, there have been gun laws that have been enacted. And so I think of that as sort of like, okay, well, there's then a calming of the warring energy paired with this sort of new, passionate, willing to, I think of Neptune, you know, in Aries, right next to it being where we no longer romanticize aggression. You know, I'm always trying to think, okay, well, how is a parallel here back to when the last time, you know, and everybody I'm sure who follows astrology is somewhat aware that the last time Neptune was in Aries was the Civil War. And that was an unromanticizing of aggression, even though there was a war. So I think that's
absolutely. That's so insightful. Yes, that when you get up in front and close with what it means for there to be all this aggression,
yes,
that the romanticism kind of
yes,
goes away.
Even with Epstein and even with the MAGA people, that they had built this kind of like, we want to show the libs. And now that they're seeing that, oh, they're actually going to kidnap your neighbors. Oh, they might actually take American citizens. Oh, the deep state you wanted to have exposed, you're part of it. You know, there's it's a dissolving quality to the romantic, for lack of a better term, hostility.
Absolutely. And that's so interesting you brought up gun laws. Here, I'm going to try this view. Oh, yeah, this looks better. Where you can see us more up close. Okay, Instagram, if anyone has any questions, you can pop them in the chat. And on, oh, thank you, Christopher, has such a nice comment that we're rock stars. I love it. Yeah, I think this looks better with us closer together. Okay, so thank you for trying out this new tech with me.
Can I celebrate you, Celeste? Can I just have like a friend?
Please.
Okay, so just like if anyone watches RuPaul, Trixie and Katya got me through the pandemic. Your page also helped get me through the pandemic. It was just, I'm sure if people are watching, they're already following Celestial Insights, but I just validated someone is caring, someone's noticing the patterns, and your ability to, in such concise language, explain how the astrology is literally showing up in the mundane astrology. I also have to confess, when I was first learning astrology and I heard the term mundane, I was like, generic astrology, because I wasn't thinking mundus globe. Anyway, but it has been also, you're able to somehow deal with atrocities. You're not sugarcoating the hard stuff, and yet you find ways to bring humor. So there's this, you're like,
oh, thank you.
You're embodying humanity as you're teaching it. Do you know what I mean? It's very.
You made me blush with your compliments. Thank you so much. I mean, I don't know what I would do without astrology in this time frame where we're under so much massive change. And even during the pandemic, like having an understanding of the cycles was so helpful to move through the time that we've gone through and see that it has an order and a rhythm. And
yeah, absolutely. And historically, if other people have been through their version of this hardship and found a way out, it gives me hope we can too.
Absolutely. I feel like this is a time for courage, not fear. I mean, of course, we're all scared, but to move past our fear and still have courage as we confront this challenge to our democracy and to, we're seeing horrors around the world that people are standing up. If you look all over the world, people are protesting in the streets with Uranus and Gemini, using their voices to say, no, this is not okay. This won't stand around what's going on in their countries, as well as other things like what's going on in Gaza. I think that this meeting between Putin and Trump was scheduled intentionally on this last quarter moon in Taurus. At the same time, Israel is doing stuff talking about sending Gazans to South Sudan. So there's like, we're watching this elaborate masquerade, I feel like. Where
anything to detract. And it can be two things. This is like so Uranus and Gemini, where like there can be sudden, shocking, simultaneous, that there's a distraction with the sort of theatrical performativeness of like having the jets and then Trump's plane come in on the tarmac in Alaska to meet Putin, and Zelensky's not there. And also it is corrupt. It's like out in the open corruption that seems like a distraction. That's going on while what you mentioned, everything going on between Israel and Sudan. And I think the last time it was around in 2011, right? When Hamas first took over Gaza, and that was when the North Node was in Pisces. I mean, it's
2011, that would have been the South Node, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's an interesting, there's just so much, ultimately, I feel like 2024 was the trailer. 2025 is like you're getting snippets of the movie, and 2026 is when the film starts. But aren't we facing, even as the United States, our country's shadow ultimately? And
absolutely.
And the denial that we're not all interconnected, and that we have to wake up, and that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, and everybody is interconnected in some way. What's interesting to me with a year that is dominantly fire and air is having this North Node in Pisces, which I feel like the sort of white Christian theocracy nationalists who are on a campaign to make empathy toxic. I feel like that the North Node in Pisces is the one thing getting through, reminding us that's a lie, that empathy is the answer. And ultimately, that has also been astrology. It's been like, this is acting as an exercise in empathy, and astrology is a tool for increasing your empathy.
Absolutely. I love that. And Venus today was trying the North Node in Pisces. So Venus in Cancer trying the North Node in Pisces. And I do words of the day for my Celestial Insights podcast. And I taped it before this meeting was announced or anything last week. And the word of today was peace. So there is this opportunity for people to come up with peaceful solutions for things. But there's also this undercurrent with Mercury talking to Mars that there's some volcanic tension underneath the surface is what I'm feeling. That what everything we see is not exactly as it is.
And I keep getting I'm sorry, so go ahead.
And I loved how you brought up gun laws, because early in the new administration, there was some like offhand comment where the president said something about taking guns away from some people, but nothing's come up with the laws that I've seen. And they're also in Washington, D.C., a guy threw a sandwich at some of the ICE agents and then ran away. And this has gone viral. And there's a meme on Instagram right now with the guy, and it's like Subway, and he's like a mythic hero with this sandwich, and his charges were dismissed. So it's really interesting. So all the things that are going on. So people on Instagram, let me know. Can you hear us well? Is this setup working for you guys? If you can put in a comment.
That is so funny, and it's such a great example of redirecting energy, right? Rather than having it come to a head. So if they're clearly positioning themselves through the takeover of Washington, through troops in LA, the threat of doing it in other places, that they want an escalation, throwing a sub, that's how you do it. Strikes to meet them at their highest tension and just sit, to find a way through humor and collective disengagement with their poking and poking and poking. You know, I mean, on the other hand, there are times when I love Newsom yesterday fighting fire with fire, right?
Oh my God, Newsom is my governor, Gavin Newsom, and bringing the fight to the president. Absolutely. He's been writing, if you haven't seen it, he's been writing posts using Trump's own languaging with all caps, talking about, I'm the greatest, I'm your favorite governor.
Yes.
It's just the trolling is top tier.
Yes. And a kind of a Uranus Gemini mirror. I'm going to show you absurdity by simply mirroring it back. Do you know what I mean? He even had the way Trump will put things in parentheses. I'm the most popular, so I'm told, or many people say. It was a masterclass in trolling.
Yes. Yes. Top tier. And at the end of everyone, I want your attention to this matter, or whatever that nonsense, the last sentence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then other like the GOP saying that, trying to say that Gavin Newsom is being inappropriate. Well, he's just doing the exact same thing that the president is doing. So how is it okay for one and okay for another?
Right.
So it's really an interesting time. We are in a comedy, a divine comedy of absurdity, and yeah, it's a lot. And it's a lot for our nervous systems. With all your water, how do you stay grounded?
Yeah, you know, I feel like there are things I love about all the water, and you being a Cancer rising, you know this as well. Like I love the intuition. I love the ability to imagine. I love the feeling knowledge. But I also feel like on some level, I am studying how to be a triple earth. So I have a crush on all things Capricorn. I practice Taurus. I develop my Virgo. You know, I'm a big one for the polarities. And I think articulating feelings helps regulate the nervous system. I think channeling it, you know, that's the ultimate balance, right, between earth and water is a channel. It's often why I feel like earth people who have strong earth and strong water are actually gifted in not only, yes, with water, you can receive the information, but when there's the earth, there is a way to process it or deliver it, channel it. You know, we even call mediums channels. So I try to do it. And if nothing else, you know, my Mars is in my 9th house. I exercise.
I love that. You're giving such amazing tools for people because so many people are overwhelmed, especially people with a lot of water.
Yes.
And every sign is on an axis with another sign. So opposite Pisces, there's Virgo. So if you have a lot of Pisces, that water energy, you can use Virgo routines and rituals like eating healthy, keep decluttering your areas around yourself, that having some intention with where things are, how they're organized to help you manage that overwhelm that Pisces can bring, where you just start making stuff up in your head in the absence of there being real evidence or what's going on, or so much confusion. And with Scorpio, it's the Taurus is the opposite. So Scorpio, if you're like catastrophizing and thinking the worst things possible could be happening, the Taurus energy, how would you, that practical, grounded, stable, let go of the Mars, bring in some Venus stuff,
Yeah.
like use body work maybe to help you get
Yes.
through some tension or release things.
Yeah. And maybe just because perimenopause, but all women we should be lifting weights, because then you literally are moving the obstacle. You are engaging that Capricorn skeleton. You are lifting something. If you've got strong Sag, go on a walk. Like it is, if you, whatever the, whatever rules your sixth house, I always think that's the quality of how you should exercise. So,
Sag on my sixth house.
Yeah. And that simply starting one place and going somewhere else will help your brain feel like you have moved your brain's location.
And sometimes I let my dog, a sixth house topic, decide our route. So Sagittarius energy, having a journey without a destination in mind, and
Yes.
Gemini, the walking in town. I love that.
That's brilliant. That's exactly right. And it's so
We
good.
co-created that together.
Yes. There could literally be workout plans based on your chart.
Yes. And there's some comments. Oh, good, Anna. You're back at the gym with weights. Absolutely. So use your chart to think about how you can manage all of this energy if you're feeling overwhelmed. And someone who's got a lot of cancer, it's like the tears. Yeah, I'm a Cancer rising, and I've been finding myself getting some relief through crying at times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like with water, particularly Cancer, any way water can come out. So crying, either because you're let the sad out, or laugh so hard you cry, sweat, but let the water come out in some way. That it's the bottling of it that actually is what's going to make it. Then if it doesn't have little valve releases every once in a while,
Oh yeah, every once in a while I start cursing out loud. I can't believe what that's stupid. And you just got to let it out a little bit, but in appropriate ways rather than out in public. So many people are having crash outs with Uranus and Gemini. I mean, this has been going on before Uranus got into Gemini, but we're seeing it start to escalate, where in public places, people are just flipping out.
It gets
de-escalating situations rather than egging someone on can really help all of us help manage people, be more grounded. There was a guy who was going crazy on a plane, and
the guy who picked him up,
racial slurs and all this guy with somebody called linebacker from 17C got up and picked this grown man up like a toddler and put him back in his seat on the plane. That's going around. Talk about a Mercury retrograde.
Yes.
That's a Mars sextile. That's the Mars sextile Mercury. So this man was Mars in Libra, all kind of mouth smack talk, sextile Mercury. But then his other passenger got up, picked him up, put him back in his seat, and told him, "Don't make me come back here, I bet." Yeah. So we also wanted to talk about chart patterns. So why don't you talk about the patterns that are in the sky? Because it's the sky is woo.
Yeah. It is. I think a lot of us felt sort of coming out of July. Once we had back in July the South Node and Mars conjunct, that was a humdinger. That was inner critic given permission to go supernova. And then boom, we're into a Mercury retrograde. But as soon as Mars moved into Libra, it was trine city. And so you have Mars, right? And you have Mars in its least matching sign possible, right? Mars in Libra at its best. You think of like critical thinking or the direct diplomacy. At its least effective, passive aggression, or sort of manipulative hostility, iron fist, velvet glove kind of energy. And then you have it.
Can I say something
Oh,
before
yeah,
you go to the next part of the?
Yeah.
Vladimir Putin brought red roses to some kind of monument in Alaska. And I think that was very intentional in terms of they're going to look like it's like a romance thing. That was some kind of underneath the scene manipulation. Because why are the roses white if it's really about a memorial?
Yes, that is. Oh, that's a perfect.
That's going to be used in some kind of propaganda and memes and jokes. The red roses, like he's the Bachelor. Mm-hmm.
Here, does Trump get a rose if he gives him the trade deal he wants? You know what I
mean? Yeah. So sorry to interrupt. We're talking about the grand trine and air signs. And you just did a beautiful job talking about the high road and low road of Mars and Libra. Go ahead.
Yes. And then you think about, we've already talked about Saturn and Aries, and then we have Neptune and Aries, and these things are opposite, right? And but then we have this I'm blanking on the planets. Help me out. I'm thinking about the other.
Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius.
Pluto and Aquarius, right? So the air signs are making this trine while there's this opposition. And at the best, whenever you have kind of a kite situation, maybe there's something grounding. Do you know what I mean? So Saturn's holding it down. Neptune is giving it some lofty inspiration, right? But if you can also think of a kite in a way, I think of it as like envelope-y, because you have these parallel or mystic rectangle sides, and then the trine within. And then I always think, what's inside the envelope? And so looking at the trine as sort of a pointing point to see themes that are probably hidden within the envelope.
Okay, so wait. Okay, well, let's talk about the envelope. I want to learn, because you're teaching me about a new chart pattern. So a kite is when you have a trine, and we have an air trine in the sky with Mars in Libra, Uranus in Gemini, and Pluto in Aquarius. Now, when you have a grand trine, trying to remove all restrictions so you can get caught in loops is one of the things that can happen, where it's almost like a cyclone energy with this one, because Mars, Uranus, and Pluto is just like, but
why I love
Mars but Mars is opposite Saturn and Neptune and Aries. And so that fire tail kind of can ground the trine in some ways and give it flight. That's why we call it a kite. It can like help direct the energy in more specific ways. I love that. And now you call it an envelope. Is that what you're calling an envelope as well?
Because whenever I see a rectangle, I can't ignore mystic rectangles. So when I'm seeing that, then I'm just like we're a kite. You're sort of looking at where the trine is pointing in a way, and I think of that as where you're peeling something back. And part of why I just had a fangirl moment is that it's one of the things I love about how you articulate astrology. Of course, yes, traditionally trines, the energy is we're on the same page. It's like, girl, I get you energy, right? But it can be so much of the same thing, and everything is going so quickly that we can have a cyclone. It just like a square can be. My friend Heidi always calls them four-way stops. Nobody knows whose turn it is, but then, and of course, squares don't have to be the same modality, but when we're learning them, that's often the way we learn them. Once they recognize they have something in common, that's usually where the creative solution comes in. And so I feel like a mystic rectangle has like the evolved or the matured square. Like it's that same kind of 4 quadrants, but it's been stretched out in a way.
Okay, I'm going to try sharing my screen. This is oh wait, maybe it's going to go all haywire. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. And ooh, I'm going to share this screen and see if this will work. And let's see. Okay, so let's put a chart of today's astrology up. Okay, so it's the 3rd quarter moon.
I'm seeing it.
And can you see the chart?
Yeah.
Okay, and so what we're talking about is, let me see if I can get my tools here. I'm really being bold. Try this. Or let me just use my cursor. So
Yeah.
we're talking about a mystic rectangle that you're talking about, as well as we have this kite. So Saturn and Neptune and Aries are in sextile to Pluto, and Mercury is sextile Mars. And then we've got these trines over here. So there's this like rectangular structure in the sky, and there's oppositions too. So if you're confused, you can just look at a chart and look how the air and fire is sextiling on 2 sides, and you can draw out a rectangle. And
Yeah.
these, if you have any of these in your chart, these are grace notes. They can be really wonderful. How do you describe the mystic rectangle?
I think Grace Notes is literally perfect. It is it always feels like a matured a sextile, a matured a resolved square or something. There is a elegance with the way the energy gets distributed.
And Anne Ortley always taught me that there's often people have like a karmic purpose, like they're here to do something specific, like if they have
Yes.
this in their chart. So if babies are being born right around this time, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. There's like some creative, inspired artists and politicians and like
Yeah.
people who are going to really make a difference in
Yeah.
about 30 years showing up on the stage right now.
Yeah. I have chills when you said that, Celeste, because it was when Uranus was last moving out of Taurus into Gemini, and I forget if it was the Taurus year or it was the Gemini, if it was which side of the month it was. But I know that Putin and Trump were born during that time, the last time there was that switch. And so it's always interesting to think leaders or public figures who are born at one stage, how then that energy shows up when on the political stage or the larger stage, later in life.
And I have their charts up, and I have, oh no, that's Newsom and Trump.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, let me do Putin and Trump.
Look how great you are with all this new tech.
I'm trying. This is the first time I'm doing this. Let's do the bi-wheel because you made great points. Okay, so we can see in the center is Donald Trump, and outside is Vladimir Putin. Now we have an exact time for Trump. Putin's chart is rectified.
Right.
So,
doesn't that seem exactly right that we wouldn't get his exact time? Doesn't that feel
exactly
spot on for him?
And look how Putin's Saturn in Libra is right on Trump's Jupiter in Libra.
Yeah.
And his Saturn trines his Uranus. It really feels like, and his Pluto is on Trump's Mars. It really feels like Putin, even though Russia is a less wealthy country and whatnot, Putin is in the driver's seat, is what I see with this, or the power player who has, like, you'll notice in their body language, Trump deferred like when they met in Helsinki.
Yeah, he was.
It was embarrassing.
Yeah, yeah. I've always felt that, pun intended, that the compromise was the trump card over Trump, and that it is directly related to Epstein in some way, because once the Wall Street Journal article came out, it was the first time Trump, in such a public way, had a bit of a falling out, or, well, fine, I'll go ahead and be angry, or punish Putin in some way, that was so overt and such a change from any time he'd ever spoken about him before, that it sort of seemed like, again, what is the compromise now out there in a way publicly, that he's no longer quite as, and this feels like the meeting might be a reminder of just how much factual, documented, I think, of Libra always as documents and contracts. So how much documented information or compromise he has. It's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, those two. So Peace Mama is saying that Trump and Putin are karmically connected. Absolutely. I definitely think so.
Yes.
And that, Peace Mama also says, I'd be interested in the historical evolutionary connections to the meeting in Alaska. Well, Russia sold Alaska to the US for a very small amount of money, and it's like a sore spot with Putin.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing that's going on. And on Monday, the day that Mercury stationed direct, Trump said, I'm going to Russia to meet with Putin. He's not going to Russia. He's in the United States. So it was a Freudian slip, or maybe not.
Yes, or an aging, a difficulty with, the way, if the way the press has been incredibly generous to Trump when he demonstrates struggles with cognition, that felt also like, was that a slip of the tongue, or was that a reveal that, no, we're going to Alaska, sir. No, we're going to Russia. That it's not. There's a disintegration. I mean, it has been surprising to me that, aside from the makeup on the palm, it seems so obvious that there is a health situation going on with him, mental difficulty in some way. And I keep wondering if that's part of what the eclipses are going to bring forward. If there will be a kind of faded point in which his ability to, not that I'm saying he governs in an effective way now, but if it will reach a kind of point where it's so obvious he's struggling.
Oh, well, okay, there's two things I want to say about that. So on September 7th, there's going to be a lunar eclipse at 15 degrees of Pisces. So the sun will be at 15 Virgo. The moon will be at 15 Pisces. Using a Placidus chart, these are across Trump's first and seventh houses, squaring his Uranus and Gemini. Gemini rules the hands, the wrists, the shoulders. Notice if we see any more differences with his hands around that time.
Excellent.
Because
excellent. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because I got a real image of edema for tomorrow. Tomorrow's word of the day is, oh no, it's electric for tomorrow. It's edema. It's not it's swelling for the 23rd of this month. So the new moon in Virgo, will there be something where we're seeing more of the physical issues that the president is having? Is possible.
Yeah.
Possible coming up. Yeah. And that eclipse is in a trine to Putin's Uranus in Cancer, and we can think about Cancer has associations with homeland and the
Yes.
pieces that he's trying to take from Ukraine. The stuff we're seeing now is part of the upcoming eclipses with
Yes.
15 Pisces and then 29 Virgo on September 21st. So really
Yeah.
pay attention to what's all the things that are going on. And that 29 Virgo squares Putin's Mars in
Yeah.
Sagittarius.
And
So,
also that Uranus and Cancer, thinking of the term motherland, you know what I mean, as opposed to kind of fatherland, but also women and financial transactions with women, and the modeling executive, I say that very generously is a legitimate term, who has money connections both to Russia and to Epstein and to Trump. So it feels like what we're beginning to see is that there has been all of these sort of, because he's had so many chaos plates spinning, it's been easy not to focus on how they all have a center meeting point. And that's what I feel like is beginning to happen, is that we're beginning to see how, you know, like a British mystery murder map, you know, they've got those lines and things. I feel like we're beginning to see the center, as always, follow the money. I mean, said like a Scorpio rising, but you know.
Absolutely. Well, this lunation is, so today we're having a last quarter moon in Taurus at 23 degrees, and Trump's midheaven is 24. So Peace Mama saying that, about talking about the atrocities Russia perpetrated against the indigenous people in Alaska, and that there's rumors that Trump is going to offer Putin Alaskan minerals in some way. So, and what is he going to get in return? A hotel in Russia or something?
Right.
We'll find out. It'll come out eventually what deals are underneath the surface that have nothing, you know,
Yes,
that have nothing to do with what's in the benefit of the people of Russia or the US or
yes,
Ukraine, obviously.
yes. Yeah. And if you think of, you know, Cancer is the mother, and the earth in a way, you know, ruled by the moon, mothered by the moon, that makes me think of the minerals as well. And I think someone out there can correct me if this isn't right, but I do feel like the last time Uranus was in Gemini, there was an increase in mining for materials that later ended up being in a lot of our tech today. So it feels right in the sense of thematically correct, not right in the sense of morally okay. You know, that would be going on. I think that's a really, really fascinating point she brought up.
Absolutely. There's so much about minerals, about what's coming out of the land, and about land.
Yes.
Because Uranus is going to go back into Taurus. It's going to go back to 27 degrees. So if you have stuff in the late degrees of Taurus, just be aware that you're going to get that Uranian influence again. And for people who have Uranus and Scorpio at those late degrees, I think born in the late 80s, your Uranus opposition is not over. So there can be some wrapping up and some things coming up for you between this fall and next spring.
Yeah.
That's part of your big Uranus and Taurus story that started in 2018.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, because things could shock you.
Yes, yes. And even thinking about minerals on the moon. Didn't he say in the last few weeks he wanted to put
nuclear weapons on the moon? Yes. Mm-hmm.
Ooh. Oh boy.
Yes. Well, one thing I wrote, because you know I write about these moon phase families, and let's see if I'm going to share this too. Let me look at this. And I wrote, you can see it on wherever you are, Instagram here. Let's see if I can show this properly about this moon phase family. Let's see if I can show it. Sorry, bear with me.
You get points just for even attempting.
Okay, print, share. I'm gonna try this. Okay. I'm gonna share this tab.
That's great.
And okay. And can you still see it?
Yeah.
Can you see that? Okay. So, and you can think about in your own life. Oh shoot, that's the wrong one. Okay. So there was a new moon with the sun in Taurus and the moon in Taurus back in May 19th, 2023 at 28 Taurus. So think about in your own life if anything started around then. There was a G7 in Hiroshima that is associated with the nuclear war. And these other two dates are associated with Putin saying things about nuclear stuff. And so one of the things I wrote about this last quarter moon is that I hope they can come up to some agreement about not putting nukes on the moon, because that's ridiculous to me. It's insane. And the United States has said we're going to put nukes on the moon. So you can think about these dates if they have meaning in your own life, and you give a couple of weeks on either side. But all the dates have a lot of association with nuclear stuff. So yeah, I'm hoping it will be disarmament, because on September 7th, Uranus and Gemini goes retrograde rather than building up more nukes. I'm just trying to be positive despite all.
Yes. This moon phase family is such a great example of this is such a brilliant way to use astrology, is to not only think of now forward, but you actually gain so much information when you look back, because even the phrase set intention, what was beginning, right? Course correct, what was being, new information's coming in, the epiphany that happens on the full moon. I mean, this is a really, this is one of the most easy, practical, effective, direct ways to unpack how as above, so below. What is, not only were there, let's say, nuclear themes going on a global scale, what engineering, what kind of energy resources were being developed in your own life?
Absolutely. So you can look back at these times, or if something like just pops out with one of these dates, like, that's related to Taurus, or the house you have Taurus in your chart, there could be an important story. Yeah. And at 26 Taurus is this fixed star Algol. So that's being activated as well.
Yes.
So,
and that's interesting when you think about how I can't believe it feels like a whole lifetime since last summer, but the assassination attempt, performance, pick your word, pick your choice, happening so close to the time that it was like July 15th. And I think that it was exactly maybe the day before or something like that. And then with
2 days before the Mars-Uranus conjunction in Taurus.
Yes. And also then the kind of
at 26 degrees on Algol. Yes.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder a bit of that. And something that I found so fascinating last summer is how J.D. Vance's Trump has some similarities with J.D. Vance's chart, rather, and Trump have some similarities. Yes. And J.D. Vance's Trump was mirroring what happened during the presidential race, where Shriver replaced the running mate. And at the time I kept thinking, ooh, is this an Algol thing where it's like a dethroning or a switching, not just injury to the head, but like a changing of the crown kind of. And, you know, one of the many things that is going around the internet is when Vance was having these private meetings with Murdoch and other people, as there is kind of prepping for the prince kind of.
Yes. So J.D. Vance, in case anyone's not understanding, J.D. Vance and Trump have very similar charts. in terms of they have the same, they both have Leo risings and Taurus midheavens. And yeah, so I think that's going to come up very important, very strongly at some point because, yeah, 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 yeah. And his Venus is right on Trump's Mars. And oh, let me show. Okay, I'm going to open the chart just real quick to show people because something that's very interesting. Let's open. We have an exact birth time for JD Vance too. So. Okay, so I have that. And let me share this screen. Try to do this. Okay. Oh, can you see? Yep. Oh, good.
Perfect.
So look at how JD Vance's Venus is on Trump's Mars. So that gives themes of tension, but would you call that frenemies a little bit in terms of people who are not romantically involved?
Yes.
It's like they're supposed to be partners, but there's this this undercurrent of aggression and conflict. And then JD Vance's sun is on Trump's Pluto. And someone was saying, I think this is in, I do OPA transit talks, was saying about how Pluto makes big things small and small things big. And like there could be at some point a power exchange between the two of them. I mean, this is to the exact degree.
Yes. I also think of sometimes Venus and Mars in politically as being like an arranged marriage. You know, like, yes, we're together. Yes, we are. There's the quote wife role, which is supposed to be subservient in a kind of hierarchical tradition to the masculine, but ends up usurping. Do you know what I mean? It's and I love that term of Pluto making big things small and small things big. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Something is something feels afoot at the Circle K of their relationship.
Yes, and JD Vance's Mars is at Trump's IC. That is not comfortable. That is like a sneak attack energy.
Yes.
And it's opposite Trump's midheaven. It's like snip, snip, snip. Mars severs and Mars separates.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. And Neptune on the moon.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Neptune on the moon. That also makes me feel like JD Vance is the Trojan horse that got invited in.
Lots of people think that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now with this technology, I have to keep it to an hour.
Yes.
So this has been a fascinating conversation. So tell, like, sum up anything else you want to say in the next minute and a half. Do you want to tell people how to find you, how they can follow you, and all that good stuff?
Sure, I do. My Instagram is a little bit like a David Lynch fever dream. So there will be some art, there will be some astrology, there will just be some wackadoo. You can find me at CaitlinMuelderAstrology.com. I'm also part of Heidi Rose Robbins' astrology team. And Celeste, I just want to say, I have admired you for so long. I so look forward to developing our friendship further. This has been an absolute delight. I just think you're not only a great astrologer, I think you're a really great teacher and a good person.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. Well, thank you everyone for coming. And let me end the stream but stay here, Caitlin. Have a great day, everyone.